Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Sean Huggins and this is Europe with Hugs. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we are going to be checking out the surprising factor that determines English fluency. Oh, why are some countries so much more fluent in English than others? This should be interesting and a little bit ironic because I am making this video in English. So the people in the red section, maybe they don't understand or watch this video. I don't know. Anyways, enough yapping. Let's just hop straight into it. Here we go.
Look at this map. What do you notice? There's a clear line running through Europe. North of it, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden. South of it, Spain, Italy, and France.
What about Portugal? Dude, Portugal has really good English speaking skills apparently. And what is that? Austria? Austria as well. Interesting. I lived in Germany and the German English level is pretty good, to be honest. At least in my experience, so I would be curious to hear the English levels or experience the English levels in any of the green countries. The
divide is stark and consistent, and this isn't a one-year fluke. This north-south English divide has been the same story for years. But why? Is it genetics, intelligence, natural talent? None of these. My first thought was language similarity. German, Dutch, Norwegian and Swedish are all Germanic languages like English. That does give them a clear advantage and is definitely part of the puzzle. But then there's Finland. Finland ranks 14th out of 86, which is still excellent. Not only is Finnish not a Germanic language, it's not even Indo-European. It's completely unrelated to English. Today we're going to uncover the other, more hidden reasons behind Europe's divide. And some of them will surely surprise you.
Okay.
Outliers like Croatia and Greece tell us that the real story isn't about where you are on the map.
What about Portugal? Nobody's talking about Portugal.
It's about the systems, incentives and cultural factors that
I see you Portuguese people out there.
Learning. Interestingly enough, South America shows the north-south divide in the opposite direction. Let's start with something that explains both the success of the Nordics as well as the outliers in the south of Europe. Size matters. We all know that. When your entire country has fewer people than London, you need English to talk to the world. Nordic countries are small but wealthy.
Okay. So if a country is large enough, presumably it has a large enough economy, job market, all that kind of thing, so that you don't have to rely quite as much on English in order to speak with people from other countries. You can exist in your own country's bubble a lot more easily.
Their businesses are international by necessity. Their media markets are tiny. Their academic communities need global collaboration. And look at our outliers, Croatia, Greece, Portugal. What do they have in common?
Yeah,
they
Portugal
are all
mentioned.
Relatively small countries with strong tourism industries and significant immigration. Small countries can't afford to be linguistically isolated. English isn't a nice to have, it's economic necessity. When speaking English determines whether you can get a job, travel for work, or access international opportunities, motivation takes care of itself. The second reason are the Nordic universities, which have created a massive advantage. In Nordic countries, higher education is free, or at least very cheap, or rather paid by taxes. So more people go to university. But not only that, the education increasingly happens in English. Nordic universities have dramatically expanded English medium instruction over the past decade, especially in master's programs. So you're reading academic papers, writing thesis chapters, participating in seminars, all in English.
Damn, okay, that's really hard too, because if that's your second language, your third language, whatever, doing that at such a high academic level, that is way more difficult than just being able to speak English, because you have to use like fancy words and big words and like super proper grammar and all that kind of stuff. You can't use slang words and phrases. That's actually very, very impressive, not gonna lie.
This creates a population comfortable with complex and sophisticated use of English. Compare this to countries like France or Italy, where university education is still predominantly in the local language. French students might take an English class, but they are not living and breathing in English for years during their most intensive learning period. Also, in Nordic countries, not being able to speak English is genuinely embarrassing for most. It's a basic expectation, like knowing how to drive or use a computer. English proficiency signals education, sophistication, and international awareness. In Germany, there's also this meme that we always apologize for our bad English while being able to speak very fluently, but of course this is not the case for everyone here.
Could someone please explain to me why there's some Germans that say that they can't speak English when in reality their English is better than mine?
Oh, hey, you're right, mate.
That's a meme. Good meme.
Oh, sorry, mate. Do you speak English? Yes, a little bit. Oh, okay. Do you know where the train station is? Well, of course, if you take a glance down this exquisite street adjacent from us, all that is required from you is that you proceed 15 degrees to the northwest, take a swift left turn, rotate precisely 38 degrees to the right, and thou shalt stumble across a magnificent structure called Frankfurt Hauptbahnhof.
It's this fear of making mistakes, which I assume is common in some of these Nordic countries too. That's the level of expectation we are talking about here. So if everyone around you speaks English well, you are motivated to keep up. But here's the factor that maybe matters more of them all. TV. Or rather, how you watch TV.
English media. English social media. English legacy media. Hollywood, TV shows, the music industry. If a country is large enough to have a huge, bustling, cultural, significant media output of their own language and their own stuff, then, in theory, the local population doesn't have to look to English-speaking creators or TV shows or movies or whatever in order to consume media. Interesting stuff to think about.
There's actually research on this. A study called TV or Not TV, the impact of subtitling on English skills, found a large positive
subtitling
effect for
too.
subtitled original version broadcasts as opposed to dubbed television on English proficiency scores. The citizens of countries where television is broadcast in the original version would have better English vocabulary, grammar, and in particular listening comprehension than those of countries where programs are dubbed. Surprisingly, only 12% of Europeans think that television is useful for learning foreign languages. It's not just useful, it's the most useful thing you can do next to listening and reading to other content.
Yeah, I have been working on learning German, and all I do is consume stuff in German on YouTube. I don't have TV. I only have the internet. I just consume as much stuff as I can in German, and that has really helped my German comprehension and listening skills a lot. Still doesn't do everything, still doesn't do all the work. You still have to study new vocabulary and practice writing and different stuff like that. But just consuming a lot of media in your target language definitely helps a great deal for sure.
English skills are better in countries where television films and programs are subtitled. The magnitude of our effect is large, equivalent to 16.9%, 1.5 standard deviations of the average level of English skills. So every time you turn on your TV, or for some it's YouTube, you get listening comprehension, you get input in the language you want to acquire. You are learning through this input and do that without even trying. This is at the core of how I approach language learning and my channel in general, where we always talk about how to find the right kind of input for your level and interests and why learning through reading, watching and listening is so much better than textbooks. Subtitled TV shows also give us a potential reason why Portugal outperforms Spain. Well, one of them typically uses subtitles, the other typically dubs their content.
Oh, so Portugal uses subtitles. And that could be a huge reason in Portugal being a bit of an outlier with their English-speaking skills. Interesting.
Spain and Portugal share many geographical and cultural traits, but the number of Spanish speakers is double that of Portuguese speakers. Again, maybe in part because of this, Portugal uses subtitling while in Spain television is dubbed. And as a result, Portugal's results are much better than Spain's. Another factor is money. People say money talks. Well, it speaks English. Northern Europeans travel more, creating real-world motivation and practice opportunities. When you can afford to backpack through the world or study abroad, English becomes immediately useful and not just theoretically. Wealth, of course, also means access to quality English education, international schools and private tutoring. It's not just that Northern Europeans start learning English early, it's that they encounter it everywhere. A Norwegian teenager doesn't just study English in school, they live partially in English online. I mean, we all kind of do, but for some countries...
my YouTube channels are a great example. I mean, most of the people on my YouTubes are not English speaking natives. They're, from Europe. Probably you guys watching right now are probably from some European country, not from a native English speaking country. And so, yeah, I mean, I think everybody is kind of going on the internet to learn target languages and consume content that they like in other languages other than their own language. It's more and more common now with the internet for sure.
This relation is stronger than for others. Video games, music, social media, YouTube, Twitch streams, all predominantly in English because there's just not that much translation happening. So they learn slang and casual expressions and real-world communication inductively without
Skibbity
ever really
toilet
focusing
riz.
on it. This immersion starts young and never stops. By the time they are adults, they have had thousands of hours of formal and informal English practice that their Southern European counterparts simply haven't experienced to the same degree. The result? English doesn't feel foreign anymore. It's part of your social and digital life. And finally, let's talk about something that may sound a little ridiculous, but I do believe it makes sense, and that's the weather. When it's dark and cold for half the year, you spend
What the frick?
more time indoors, which potentially means
Oh, okay. Okay, let me guess. The weather changes how fluent you are in English, because if the weather sucks for 80% of the year, then you're just chronically online, and then therefore you're just going to run into English speaking content online, and then you learn English that way. That's my guess. Let's see.
consuming more media, more Netflix, more YouTube, more online content, all
Yep,
of which
yep.
tends to be in English. At the same time, Southern
Damn.
Europeans are outside enjoying their beautiful
What about
weather
Portugal?
and socializing in their native language. Is this the most important factor? Maybe, probably not. But when you combine it with everything else, the subtitles, the social expectations, the economic necessity, even the weather contributes to creating an environment where English learning happens naturally. The good news, many of these advantages can be recreated by you at home with
Just don't touch grass, stay inside, and watch all of my YouTube videos on all of my YouTube channels, and then you'll learn English.
without living in some of these Nordic countries. Maybe not changing the weather or suddenly being wealthy, but you can switch to subtitles instead of dubbing. You can create social expectations by joining English-speaking communities online. You can consume English media for topics you actually care about. You can treat English as necessary for your goals, not optional. You can build your own immersive environment through gaming, social media, and streaming. And so this mindset shift is crucial. You don't need to move to Norway to create this environment. You just need to understand what makes it work and build your own version of it. So yes, geography might influence English proficiency, but you can change your linguistic geography without moving countries. Now I hope this video made you feel motivated to continue.
Wow. Very cool. Very interesting. I think he definitely makes a lot of good points. I mean, the idea that the bigger a country is, the more people it has, the bigger the cultural output a country has, the less they have to rely on other countries and can focus on their own cultural and economic bubble. That makes sense to me. I mean, I think that's a fair argument. I don't know if there's any science to back it up, you know, stats and statistics, but, you know, logically thinking about it, it's plausible, I think. But anyways, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys have to say about it. You are the Europeans after all, most likely. So what do you think? How did you learn English? Do you think that there's any truth to this video? I'm curious what you guys have to say, so leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And when you're done there, consider subscribing, leaving a like, all of that good stuff for the algorithm. You guys know the deal. It helps a lot. Plus, you don't want to miss any future videos. But that being said, that's all the time that I have for today. So thank you guys so much for being here. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.